We're about 10 miles as a crow flies to Saginaw Bay, right? Our water that drains out of these fields ends up in the Saginaw Bay within a couple days. That's part of the reason we're using cover crops.
My name is Dave Rupprecht with Zwerk Sons Farms. I'm one of the owners and managers here. We farm about 7,500 acres here in Tuscola County, and we're kind of right in the Saginaw Valley here, and then we farm some ground also up in Sanilac County, about 30 miles east of here. So 7,500 acres of cash crop, wheat, some edible soybeans at times, a lot of dry beans, dry edible beans, sugar beets, corn.
Well, I'm Christy Apple. I am a crop management, crop nutrient consultant, and I work with farmers all over the Midwest.
My name is Mitchell Hora. I'm a 7th generation farmer.
Well, unknowingly, we've grown cover crops for a number of years. We grow a lot of winter wheat up here. Once cover crops became more popular and we saw the benefit to them, we started using different species and planting different types of species on those farms. And so we started out in wheat stubble. We do a lot of cover crops on our wheat stubble that, again, is for the following year sugar beet planting. And then that just kind of morphed into getting some cover crops on our other early harvested crops, which dry beans come off in September as well. So as we start to harvest dry beans, as we start to harvest our early dig sugar beets, we've been utilizing cover crops on all of that ground here for the last probably 6 or 7 years. We probably use more rye than anything else, and part of that reason is we feel, number one, we get some great growth out of it, you get good root growth out of it. Number two, it will grow in some cooler conditions, so we can go out and actually seed some rye today in November, and this stuff will be growing in December. We've seen it growing under actually snow, right? You can get in December when there's snow on it and dig that up and the roots are still growing. So it's a great cover crop that grows in some cool weather. We use some other specialty mixes on some of our wheat ground for our sugar beet crop, and the reason we do some of that is some of it is for compaction purposes. We use different crops that help break up that soil profile. We also use a couple crops in there that are beneficial to the beet crop. They're a host crop for some insects and some other diseases that we have in the sugar beet crop, and so those radishes, oilseed radishes that we're planting actually attract some of those insects away, and so it's beneficial from a health standpoint as well.
Step 1, step 2, step 3, or maybe outcome 1, outcome 2, outcome 3 that farmers are having conversations with you about?
I think something that every farm can relate to in the context of cover crops is keeping the soil green, right? The soil always performs better when there's something alive on it. And so either we let the weeds take over that we don't want, or we put something there intentionally that can support us achieving our outcomes that we're looking for. If you are farming sugar beets, or you are farming potatoes, or you're farming pickling cucumbers, or something where you naturally have a ton of equipment in the field on those acres, then our conversation starts to go into the compaction realm. And those things just naturally open up the floodgates for these other practices to start being feathered into affecting your production system as a whole.
Those farms that are getting cover crop and have had it over the last 2 or 3 years, we are monitoring that data and we are seeing our yields increase. But yeah, our yields have continued to improve over the last few years, especially our dry bean and our sugar beet yields. Our crops that are high demand crops, wheat, we've seen those yields improve as well as quality improve. So we know there's a lot of benefit to it for sure. The biggest thing we're seeing is the health benefits of the soil, and farms that maybe when you drove by during the year you would see those compaction issues from truck traffic or from something else. That soil now is just becoming more healthy. You see a more even crop out there, right? It's growing more even. Well, we've had a lot of conversations with our neighbors, and certainly the one thing that gets people talking is when we started growing, some of the mixes were growing, and all of a sudden this big field of sunflowers grew up. Everybody wants to know what's going on, right? So we've had farmers that we've had conversations with and have shared our experiences and told them what we've done. And we're always, like I said, we're always interested to work with our neighbors if they have a question on what we're doing and why we're doing it, and help them get started if they want to.
And it boils down to utilizing the networks, utilizing the conversations to learn how to logistically and economically make it work.